Hlanganisa's work around social and gender justice has been going on for over 14 years. And over the years, we've had various interventions that are aimed at empowering women, especially those that are impacted by gender-based violence. Intervention that we've called Sisterhood Advocates, I think appropriately so. But basically, the Sisterhood Advocates program has looked at some of the gaps that arise between the formal justice system and some of our more traditional justice systems. What we realized was that in spite of gender-based violence being so pervasive in South Africa and certainly in the region, there's very few cases that actually get reported. So we were interested in finding out why women. I'm going to just mention some of them. One of the biggest ones was that women generally didn't see the value of reporting within the criminal justice system. And many of the women that we spoke to said they didn't think that the violence that they were experiencing in their homes necessitated an intervention by the police, for instance. And they said, we don't want our partners to be arrested. We don't want them away from home. We don't want them behind bars. We just want the violence to stop. And so we started thinking about what it means when people say, when women tell us that they don't want, accessing the criminal justice system is not their preferred option necessarily, certainly not all the time. The second issue that came up was that women were generally felt that the criminal justice system is not accessible to them. The police stations are very far away, often a taxi ride or two away. And very few women had confidence in the criminal justice system actually delivering justice, because they had seen a lot of cases that were reported. We hear about dockets going missing. We see perpetrators out within days of being arrested, whether out on bail or out because a bribe has been paid by somebody. And women just felt that the criminal justice system was very cumbersome and inaccessible to them. And so we were working with these two issues and said, how do we bridge this gap? And that's how the Sisterhood Advocates program was conceptualized. So the Sisterhood Advocates program is it's a gender-based violence intervention at community level that aims at supporting women through a peer support mechanism. So we've trained over 5,000 women as Sisterhood Advocates in different communities across South Africa. And these women have received training in GBV paralegalism, and they have been supporting survivors of gender-based violence across the country, helping them get police orders, helping them with reports to police stations, helping them prepare for court, helping them understand what is available to them within our constitution and our laws. They've also, in cases where women opt not to go to the police station, sensitive ways of resolving gender-based violence, taking into account that not all women felt that the criminalization of gender-based violence and the criminalization of their partners was necessarily a viable option to ending gender-based violence. During the course of this program, we've trained over 5,000 ordinary women in our communities in paralegalism. Many of them have never gone through a similar training. And these women, once we've deployed them in the communities, have gone on to see over 200,000 women over the course of the program. And in addition to seeing women, impacted by gender-based violence in some form or the other, they've also done household visits. They see over 20,000 households every month, and in those issues, drug abuse issues, the abuse of the elderly. So all using to understand our communities better so that we can support them more meaningfully. A lot of women who've been beneficiaries to the program talk about how this program has changed their lives.
Zinhle is a 33-year-old mother of two. She lives in one of the many communities in South Africa reeling from the scourge of gender-based violence. She starts her day very early, getting herself and her children ready for the day. It's the peace before the storm, and she savors every sip of her tea before she heads out. Zinhle has a long day ahead, as she does daily. Zinhle is a Sisterhood Advocate. Community is a community-based paralegal. Some community members call her Pinky because of her distinct pink bib. The Social Employment Fund has enabled the employment of over 2,000 Sisterhood Advocates, who are an extension of the services offered by community advice officers. Their day starts with a biometric check-in and a planning session for the day with their site supervisor. The Sisterhood Advocates project was conceptualized to close the justice gap resulting from underreporting of domestic violence cases. Are trained in GBV paralegalism and offer legal and psychosocial advice to survivors of domestic violence. Their proximity to the community places them well to understand the socio-cultural context and offer advice that is grounded in the reality of survivors. Sisterhood Advocates accompany survivors when they report cases. They help women to write a statement. They also support survivors in navigating the often complex court processes, applying for protection orders should they choose to do so. This solidarity has been a game changer, and many more women feel more confident to report incidences of gender-based violence. Being a Sisterhood Advocate is more than just a job for Zinhle and others like her. It's a commitment to empower, ensuring that rights are upheld and safeguarded. Today, Zinhle spent 2 hours at the police station and another 2 hours at the long day. Some women's lives are often in danger and cannot return home and need to take refuge at a domestic violence shelter. Zinhle's client today has decided to take the offer for shelter. Domestic violence shelters provide temporary accommodation to survivors of violence. The shelter is a place to recuperate as they decide how to move forward. The shelter provides the client with a dignity pack that will allow her stay to be as comfortable as possible. Sometimes women have to come with their young children, and the shelter allows for this too. Most shelters also provide skills development opportunities like tailoring courses, beading, computer literacy, among others. Women are often vulnerable to violence, particularly from intimate partners, because of financial dependence, and shelters seek to address this. Several sisterhood advocates are survivors of gender-based violence themselves. As the long day comes to an end, Zinhle's unwavering dedication reminds us that hope and resilience always prevail, even in the face of adversity.
How this program has changed their lives. A lot of them live free of violence. A lot of them have been able to escape cases of violence. A lot of, given the kind of femicide levels in this country, a lot of murders have been averted through the Sisterhood Advocates program. So as we continue with this program, we have no doubt that we want to increase the footprint, we want to scale it into more communities in South Africa so that we can help women bridge that gap between, the formal justice system and the justice systems that they would ordinarily access through your churches, through extended family, and through, community-based paralegalism by their peers who are the Sisterhood Advocates.